Hello, welcome to Bikini Design Club once more. Today we will be sewing our swimsuit pattern EPIC. I already have cutted my pattern pieces, so this is two of our front bottom parts, and this is reversible, so the two fabrics are exactly the same in my case. Then this is the front top, and I have cut it 4 because it's symmetric. Then we have here our back with also 4 because we have a center back seam, so we have 2 plus 2, and we also have 2 main straps that will go wrap around your body, and also a thin strap with the measurements mentioned on the pattern. So the first thing we are going to do is prepare almost all the pieces that we can to go to the sewing machine. So place right sides facing together with your center back seam aligned and pin both pieces for your bottom back. Don't forget that despite the fabric is plain, it still has a right and a wrong side. So please take that into consideration when you pin your fabric all around every pieces. Now let's do the same for our fronts. Don't forget that they are symmetric to each other, so when you pin, again, don't forget, place right sides facing together, and we will pin the neckline under the arm, on the sides, and even on the top. Another thing I wanted to tell you is that when you cut the fabric, unless your fabric is a 4-way stretch fabric, you have to cut the greater length horizontally, so around your body, to wrap around your body. So I've seen some tutorials on swimwear where the pattern pieces are cutted sometimes randomly on the fabric. I would advise you not to do that. Despite your fabric may have 4-way stretches, you still should cut with the pieces vertically or horizontally, and that's why I have the grain line mentioned in all our patterns, at least the ones launched in from September last year. And so that's important because it will affect the fit of your swimsuit in the end. Now our top front parts are ready, so let's go ahead and do the same, right sides facing together for our bottom front, and let's pin everywhere except the top on the waist and also on the crotch area. All the others you can pin because we are going to sew and apply the elastic. Now that our fronts are ready, let's prepare the larger straps. This measurement is mentioned on the pattern, on the PDF description in the beginning of the pattern. So it's very easy for you to cut this rectangle just like I have it here. But what I'm doing here is that I want one of the parts of my strap to be a little bit thinner than the rest, and that's what I did here. So I measured 51 centimeters from the edge, and I reached a point that you can see on the top image, and then I just made a diagonal, and in the end on my right, I will reach 11 centimeters. And that's it. And I cut it, and this is my strap with a thinner edge. So now we have here also the thin strap ready to sew. So on our front, you have to sew on all these areas. On the top front, again, sew on the neckline, under the arm, sides, top, except the bottom part. And finally, we have our bottom back that for now we are just going to sew the center back seams on both fabrics. Now we just need to sew all the areas that I've mentioned before, but just to let you know that don't forget to apply your elastic on your main side, so choose one side as your main side, and don't forget that the elastic is applied on that side. My elastic is 0.8 centimeters wide, except on the thinner strap, which I used 1 centimeter wide elastic this time. And now I'm going to move forwards very quickly because I don't think you gain anything with watching me doing this. Just a quick note, I always start by sewing a little bit without elastic and then I place my elastic. And this is just because I don't like the connection between the straps and my main pieces to be bulky, and that's why I do this. I also have the elastic foot for my machine, but I really don't use it because if you do, you must place elastic from the beginning of your sewing, so you don't control exactly where the elastic begins, because it begins in the beginning. And also because I like to feel the tension. If I need to give tension to the elastic, I like to feel it, so I grab one hand with my fabric and the other my elastic, and that's how I apply elastic. Now, when we place right sides facing together for our back bottom pieces, I actually sewed all around, and I shouldn't have done it, because of course if we want to attach the back straps, we cannot sew on that area. So what happened is that I did the sewing all around except the crotch, of course, and then I had to pick out the stitches in that area. So if you are watching the video properly, please don't do the same mistake and avoid sewing 10 centimeters from the hip area towards the center of your back, because that's where your straps will be connected to your back bottom. It's precisely here where I'm pinning now that I shouldn't have pinned, at least 10 centimeters to connect with my strap, okay? So just leave this part open where I just placed my green and my blue pin. Now, this is optional, but every time I sew with my overlock and I don't have threads matching my fabric, what happens is that you can see the threads, and here, as you can see, they are not visible because I already did a zigzag on my, and I'm doing it again here and all around everywhere. Because I don't want these white stitches to be seen. So what I do is I go to my straight stitch machine, and with a zigzag stitch I go all over all the seams. I can avoid this if I configure my overlock with a chain stitch, and one of the loopers is with the matching color of my fabric, and this way I can avoid all this double work. But in this case I didn't do that, and that's why you see me here doing a zigzag all around. Here is the top of the back where we are going to attach the ring, and as you can see I did a zigzag reinforcing the side, the top and the other side. We have now our straps, one and the other one. We have our thin strap, we have our back piece with the elastic, and here it will have a ring, you will see later. And then we have our two front pieces with the elastic also, and then we have our front piece also with the elastic. Now we need to prepare our front to be sewn here on our waist front. So combining front bottom with front top, we are going to rush this, insert it here inside and sew. So this will be combined. The first thing I'm going to do is mark the center of my front. I just fold in half and place a pin on the middle. And now I have my middle. And now I want to have the rush effect here. I can also overlap a little bit the front here. So this is optional. You can decide whichever option you want. Both of them will look okay. If you overlap them a little bit, it will close a little bit your neckline, and if you don't overlap and you just place them side by side, it will open your neckline. So in this case today, I'm going to overlap them just 2 centimeters to make sure that my neckline is a little bit close than the previous test that I made, which I'm going to share with you guys now. So the first thing we need to do is reverse our front tops to the right sides, both of them. Once they are reversed, make sure you know which side is your neckline and which side is your under the arm. And this is very easy. Just align your fabric, and you can compare with your pattern, and you will see that there's an inflection point on the pattern. You will notice, and I've just marked it with my pattern piece, you know that on the outside, under the arm, you have an inflection of the angle. This is because we are going to sew the strap on this part, but this part will not be sewn anywhere. But it's just a reference for you to know. Don't forget, we have a place where the pattern inflects, and there is where we will then sew the strap later on our sewing. So for now, to prepare our top fronts, we want to rush them and make them look like so. And we want to make the same effect for both of them. So usually what I do is I go to my straight stitch machine, and with a very large stitch, I just do here like a basting stitch, very near the edge, and then I pull the threads and I create the rush effect. After that's done, I still do another straight stitch just to make sure that my rush stays exactly on the same spot that I want it. And only then I can insert this inside my bottom. So let's go ahead and prepare the rush here. But since we are going to do a rush, I'm also going to tell you how to prepare the rush on our straps. Both our straps are connected to our bottom, and so we need to reverse them to the right sides and do the rush on the larger parts of our strap, so on this area. And we will do it until you reach more or less 8 centimeters, or more or less by your taste. But if you check on the pattern, on the pictures, you will see that we do this a little bit, not too much, maybe like so. I'm going to tell you. Like so, we have almost 15, and usually what I do is probably 10. Yeah, 10. So rush effect until you have reached 10. And do this for both straps. We will then open a small hole here of 10 centimeters, small, not that small, 10 centimeters here, and we will insert the straps using the crotch area. We will insert the straps here on the sides of our bottom. I actually forgot, and that's why I sewed this continuously, but don't forget, we can leave 10 centimeters here where we will insert our straps without being sewn. So now I have to cut 10 centimeters here. So let's do that. I used my ruler to mark my 10 centimeters, and then with the seam ripper I took all the threads out. So I prepared the rushing with a very simple method. I use my straight stitch machine with a very big stitch. The one that is simple for me to pull in the end, and I just do a very near the edge straight stitch, and then in the end I will be able to pull the thread and do my rushing effect. We had decided that our top front would be scrunched until we had 10 because we want to overlap a little bit the front. So what I'm going to do now is I'm gonna do the ruching effect like 3 centimeters just by pulling the thread I've just stitched. This is just pull the thread and create the ruching effect. So, and do that until you have the measurement that you want, and then tie 2 knots and do this for all our 2 fronts and our 2 back straps. For the bottom strap, it had 15 and we decided to do 10 also. So again, 10 or 8, I'm not sure. I will check what I want. Let me see. Yeah, 10. So we will leave it with 10. Tie 2 knots and do the same on the other side. So as you know, a straight stitch once a swimsuit that is very stretchy is on your body will blow up and it will do a very, very bad noise. So usually I don't use straight stitch, I use a lightning stitch, but in this case for the rush effect you can perfectly use the straight stitch, no problem, it's just to create the effect that we want. Now place your bottom back with the right side facing inside, and using one of the holes insert both your straps and align them on the top area that I had to remove the threads before. When you do this, we will then need to secure the 4 layers of fabric. And the best way to do it is just by using a lot of pins and making sure that your straps are correctly aligned. I always prefer to use more pins than less, because that way I will make sure that my fabric will be where I want. So now let's go ahead and do exactly the same for the front. Now in this case, since I'm going to overlap the center, I'm going to insert the 2 straps inside the bottom front and overlap the center just a little bit. Don't forget to check if you are placing the neckline on the correct side and under the arm side outside your fabric. Align, pin just like we did for the back, and then we are ready to go to our sewing machine and do our zigzag over the layers of fabric. So with everything pinned, let's go ahead and sew on our straight stitch machine with a zigzag. Our tutorials are not fast forward because I really want you guys to also learn some details on how we finish our swimsuits, and that's why they are a bit longer than usual, than probably you can find on YouTube. But I hope you guys enjoy our way of doing the videos. But if you have any comments, just don't forget to leave them below, okay? So now just go ahead and sew. I'm sorry my hand is in front of the camera, but I'm just using a zigzag to securing the 4 layers of fabric. At this stage, I will not do overlock here because I don't want my seam to be bulky. So I will go twice with the zigzag to reinforce the entire area. We now have here our bottom, back and our front, both with the straps sewn and ready. And now let's go ahead and trim all the excess fabric that we can without cutting our threads, obviously. But just cut out all the excess that you can to avoid bulkiness. The next step is combining the back with the front. So tuck in your straps inside your back, right there inside, and then reverse your front piece to the right side, and we will insert the front piece inside our back with right sides facing together and align the crotch. This is very easy, and you will sew over the 4 layers of fabric on the crotch area. Just don't forget to align the front of your fabric with the front of your fabric back, so that once the swimsuit is reversed to the right side, it will be on the correct way. Just go to the sewing machine and sew over the 4 layers. I sewed with my zigzag stitch because this is an area with almost no stretch, so I don't need the overlock, I just need the zigzag, and then I can trim the excess fabric. But I also went ahead and preparing the hole that I will need to open to reverse my swimsuit on my lining back. I also reinforced on both sides of the hole that I'm going to open, and this is just because I want to make sure that my overlock threads are not unraveling in the future. So just cut once you have reinforced both sides of your threads. This is just an example of how important it is for you to see the entire video that we do, because we will be sharing things like this, small details that make a huge difference in the final results. Now simple, use the hole and reverse the entire swimsuit. Of course, you will then have a small hole on the center back seam on your second fabric side, but just go ahead and do an invisible stitch and close it. And now it's the interesting part. We will have an entire and very long piece of fabric with a front and back and straps and whatever. So I'm going to go to my dummy, doll, whatever name that woman has, and I'm going to explain you how to proceed. But before we do that, let's just choose which accessory we like the best for our back ring here on the top edge in this part. So let's decide what we have. I have here some pieces that I thought about using. Not the G hook, the hook would be used for another spot, but I will rehearsal and decide which accessory I want to include here, and this is where the thin strap will go, so use the one you prefer. So we are at a stage on our swimsuit that we really want to see it on a model. In this case, I'm not able to put it on myself, so I'm gonna use my doll to show you where we are at the model, at the construction, and what are the next steps. So let's start preparing our doll, and with pins, with the help of pins, placing our swimsuit on her. Let's do it. So start by placing the thin strap over the neck, and then with the front top, pin the top of the front top on each side of the thin strap. Then once you have that ready, go to the back, and with the same thin strap that comes from the front, go with the thin strap through the ring or whatever accessory you chose, and pin each of the sides of the strap. And then let's go and start wrapping around our pattern. So wrap your straps that come from the bottom. I'm tucking them here in the top just to be able to connect the front bottom with the strap more or less in place. I don't need to be exact at this moment, so I just pin connecting the back to the front. I do the same on both sides. You will get the measurement from your client when you try this on her, and you will decide where to sew these strategic points later on your sewing. We can now go ahead and secure a little bit better our top front to our side strap. Don't forget that we have an inflection point, and we have to use the pin and pin the top to the strap until we reach that inflection point. Now we can go ahead and grab our strap, go with the strap through the front below the bust, and connect it to the top strap. Just repeat the entire process for the other sides, so you can see more or less already the final results. Never mind the strange faces that I do on this video. When I'm sewing and when I'm focused, I do strange faces and I stick my tongue out, so sorry for that. arrange the top until you reach mid your shoulder, and decide on your client, of course, which is the measurement for your thinner strap behind the neck. That will be something important for the overall fitting of your swimsuit. So we now have here more or less the draft of our final pattern, and as you can see, we have a lot of places where we have to sew and decide exactly the measurements. Like for instance, the back strap, the thin one, we have to decide if this is the correct size for our customer, if the measurement here is this one or another one. So you have to check, because we will then sew here and we will sew here and so many places that after you have done that, the pattern is finalized. So as you can see, the strap, the front panel goes on the strap here until the inflection that I told you before, and then the lower the strap that comes from the back is going to attach just on a small point of inflection also for the front bottom. So you have to sew this, but on the inside, and the same here. And then we still need to create a channel here, so we need to figure out the direction in which we will sew the channel. And for the back, I think we have a few options. One of the options is for you to leave to measure your client and do this without any adjustments on your neck. The other option, and I'm going to decide which one I'm going to go with, but I think one of the other options is using a small clasp. In this case, mine is plastic and it's translucent. Or you can use a hook, probably up there on the back. I'm going to show you. Also a hook. Or you can be more bold and use a piece just like this one. And I'm going to show you more or less my idea. So I'm only talking about the thin back strap, okay, on the neck. So we want to figure out a way to finish the top here. We can use this option. I think it would be a nice idea if we could, before we attach the front to the strap, we will go over with this strap over this small plastic here, so it would be on top of this plastic and then underneath the side one, so it would be attached there. And then you could go with both sides of your back straps, and we could do something like this, one on one side and the other one here, and you sew them according to your customer's measurements here and here, and it would be something like so, with the thin strap coming on the top here and then the big straps coming down here. And this, I think it's a very nice option and original, and I really like it. The other option is the clasp. So just cut this in the middle and install the clasp, and it would make it easier for you to adjust the straps to your customer. Once she buys the swimsuit, you can adjust the sizes and sew them to your small clasp. And this is only regarding the adjustment on the top neck thin strap. Now let's talk about other adjustments on this pattern. One of the other adjustments that we can make is here on your ring from the back. So you can extend the straps and make them longer and tie a bow, and this will make the adjustment of the strap very versatile. Or you can sew the straps on each side to the ring and it will be ready. So you decide if you want this to be with a bow or just sewn to the ring. Still going with the thin straps that come from your neck. We will attach the top front to our strap, and this will be made, I will show you in a minute when we go there, and this will be made on a different way than I'm used to, and I tried it already and it worked very well, so I'm gonna let you know how to sew the strap to the main piece and looking great in the end. So you just need to sew the strap here until the inflection point that I told you, and at this point this is just forward, and that's it. It's very simple, and the thin strap is covered. So let's go to the other strap, the long one that comes from the bottom back. We have a long strap that comes from our bottom back part and that we have sewn to our bottom back, and we want the strap to cross in front of us. So we have just sewn it here, and we need to decide exactly where on the strap we will sew it to the front top, to the front bottom. So this means the best way to choose this place is to dress the swimsuit on your model and see exactly where's the right spot. I will sew this with a hand stitch only on the inside, so it's not going to be seen on the outside, and I will only stitch a small area here. The rest I will not combine together, okay? Then the strap crosses here to the front. It comes under this bust and it comes to the back strap, to the thin back strap here. And this is where you really need to put this on a real body, because you need to decide the angle in which you are going to construct a channel. Then, because we are going to go with the thin strap through that channel, and then the strap will be attached on the neck. Those options I've already talked with you, so I'm not going there. But the angle here for the channel really needs to be exact, so it should be done on a real body. The other thing I can tell you is that to do the channel, I'm going to use straight stitch and I'm going to do a thin channel, just enough for my strap to fit, and then I'm just going to open a small hole on both sides of the fabric, and we'll go over with the strap through the channel before I sew it on the back. And I think the explanation is done, so we can now move on and go to the sewing machine to finish our beautiful EPIC swimsuit. So in my case, I had already made another experiment with this beautiful fabric, and I'm also I've already shown it during the video, but I will show it again in the end. In this option I just made the straps very long, and I didn't reduce the size in the end, so they are very long and big, but at least I was able to test a lot of things with this experiment. I also tested the side channel, which turned out pretty great, and I really like the results. So I now already know for my size exactly where I want to place my channel. And the other thing I wanted to show you was the strap. I'm going to show you in detail now that we are going to sew this one, but I wanted to show you how I did the strap. So on my correct side of the fabric, I actually placed my strap under the fabric, and I used a zigzag stitch to secure the strap to the top, and I did a zigzag stitch all along the edge here. And then when you put the swimsuit on, it rolls over, and the strap you will see, it will be like so. So I really like, let me see if the focus is okay. Yeah. So you really see that it looks great once it's ready. let's go ahead and finish our swimsuit. And I'm gonna do it slowly so that you can follow and that you can also do your own. So I'm gonna start by placing my strap. I found the middle of my strap and I know that my measurements, it's 15 centimeters between the beginning of the two straps. So I'm gonna mark 7.5, half of my total for each side, and I know that my strap is going to start here. I'm going to do the same for the other one, or I just fold it here and I will be able to mark the other side. So I have my middle and my two sides for the strap. Now I'm going to place right sides facing together. So my strap has a right side and the wrong side where you can see the seam. So I'm going to place right sides facing my right side of my fabric, like so. And I'm going to pin my strap to my swimsuit. Just go ahead and pin from the top of your strap until the inflection point that we have talked before. Now just zigzag from the inflection point until the top near the edge. I'm also going to go ahead and secure the ring that I've chosen on the top of my bag. I just changed my foot to a zipper foot to be able to sew near my ring, and I'm using the lightning stitch to secure this piece. And here you can see how it turned out with the lightning stitch. Now I have to sew my back strap to the front. Remember I told you I'm going to hand stitch. And the right size for me, it's 11 centimeters from the edge of my bottom. So my correct spot to sew, it will be here. I marked this on my back bottom, the 11 centimeters. And now I just need to grab my front edge and place the fabrics together, and that's where I want to sew them together. As I told you, I want this stitch to be made inside, so I will do this by hand, connecting here on the inside with an invisible stitch, but I will do it on the inside. And here you can see how it turned out, the stitch that I've just made on both sides. Before we go, I still wanted to show you the final result. This actually is not finished just because I'm here alone, and probably most of you are also locked down at home. So I'm locked down. I just came to the studio because it's very near my house and I'm always alone here. So this means that I'm not able to try on this and mark on my back and on the adjustments that we still need to make. And this is why this is not finished yet. But anyway, I would like to show you the final result that you will get when you finish this amazing EPIC swimsuit. So as you can see here, everything is already in place. The neckline is a little bit less revealing than the one that I showed you before on this video. The straps are crossing. We have on the side, we have the thin strap, and we will do here the channel that I have marked with a pin. So the direction of the channel will be like so. It's very easy to make, just two straight lines and then open two holes on each opposite side so that the strap can go ahead from one side to the other. And don't forget to do that before you actually sew this strap here to the ring. except of course if you are tying a bow here or a knot or whatever. In that case, on the pattern, the sizes of the thin straps are already longer than mine, so no problem, you can just cut the measurement that I wrote there. And of course, and here I also placed 2 pins because on my option I will want to sew the strap to the top strap instead of rings or any other accessories. And once I have someone to help me with my own measurements, I will be able to finish it. And that's it for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed, and subscribe our YouTube channel.